Hello and welcome to Roll for Topic. It's our 2022 very special actual play of the dungeon that we built on our last episode. If you want to, you can pause right here and go back and listen to that episode before you come over to this one, so you can kind of get an idea of what in the world we actually built and what we're actually going to be running here tonight. But you can listen to these in any order that you want to. I am really happy. We have 4 people here who have decided to subject themselves to this experiment, this grand experiment we do once a year. It's really fun. So I'm just going to introduce you sort of in the order that I see you on my screen. So we've got John.
Hello there.
Brandon.
Hi, team.
Toby.
Hi.
And Ben.
Hello.
Yes. All right. Great. Again, thank you for coming on to do this. This is super great. So you have all been sworn to secrecy in that you have not listened to the build a dungeon episode. I guess I need to know that before we get too far into this.
Correct.
Cool.
Correct. Yep.
That is awesome. So then, assuming that's true and you're not lying to me, so you can like metagame and win this thing really well. Then all you know about this is that it is a Western. So we're going to try to play through this the story in about an hour and a half or so. That's what I'm shooting for. So we'll start doing a little bit of character creation stuff on air. You've gotten some of the pre-gens beforehand. We'll do some character creation, talk about some lines and veils. So this is really important to me. This is like a consent mechanic that we say like, we don't want to have this ever happen in the game, and we're also okay with this stuff happening, but it's got to sort of be off air, right? So we'll talk about that, and then we'll get into the game proper. I think it should be pretty fun. So for those who like mechanics and stuff, we'll be using a system called Caltrop Core, and we'll go over sort of what that does as we run into times where we need it. Cool. So what I want to do first is actually send you something. So I'm going to send it over in Discord. We are also over there in chat. So let me know when you see that link come through. So for those at home who cannot see this is a link to a Google Drive that is going to have a couple of really lovely pieces of artwork that Kyle Latino of Splatbook put together. So can you all see that on your screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So go ahead and open up the first one. So if you want to click on the wanted poster for Aces there, we have wanted posters for our gang members that you're going to be going up against in this Western. So you're looking at the wanted posters for the Snake Oil gang. First one there is a man named Aces High, and I'll talk a little bit more about him in a second. If you go to the next one, we have a man named The Bat. After that, we have Dixie Deadeye. And finally, the titular Snake Oil himself, the Snake Oil Kid. We'll make sure that we link to these as well in the show notes so everybody can see them. They're really fun. You can peruse those a little bit. We have a little bit of information about each of them on there. As part of character creation, you're going to pick one of these, and I want you to each pick a different member of the gang. That's sort of like the person who wronged you. What exactly did they do to you? So without further ado, let's go around and start doing some character creation. So you have some pre-gens that I sent to you beforehand. Does anyone want to go first? Anyone pick someone that they really wanted to play as?
I was thinking along the lines of an old prospector, and I think the drunk would fit into that.
Okay.
So that's a possibility for me.
Okay. That sounds good. If no one wants that one, we can let Toby have it.
Do we roll off? No, I'm kidding. I will. God, it's a really hard choice here. I'm thinking either the preacher or the doc, and I think I'm going to settle on doc.
All right, John's going to be the doc.
I'd like to be the preacher then, if that's okay. Sorry.
Awesome. Okay. Ben's going to be the preacher. For what I know of you and your personality, that fits great. Yeah, Toby, just real quick, I wanted to say, if you want to, let's just change the drunk to the old prospector. That sounds totally fine. I think that fits thematically too.
He'll probably be drunk anyways.
Mm-hmm. All right, Brandon, what do you got?
I'm going to be the madam.
Okay. That sounds good.
Well, I mean, if nobody's going to be the gunslinger, I got to do the gunslinger.
Okay, change to the gunslinger.
One of us
there
has
to be
to.
one.
Yeah,
Right.
There has to be one.
What are we even doing here? What are we even doing
I know,
here?
it's a Western, really.
Yes. Okay, that sounds good. So then that leaves the couple of the pre-gens that we didn't use, and these were put together by John Corey, also of the Splat Book. He is just wonderful at putting these sorts of things together. So yeah, so there's the doc, which we're not going to have in here, and the cowgirl. So let's then answer a couple questions. So there's 2 questions on your character sheet that you need to answer for. We are going to be starting this game with all of you in jail for something. So I need you to tell me, what are you in for? And then we also need to answer, which member of Snake Oil's gang do you have it in for? Those are the 2 questions that we need to answer.
I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die, so
okay, all right.
That's what I'm in for.
I don't know when Reno was founded.
Okay,
but we'll say that you shot a man.
I shot a man in the territories.
In the territories, yeah.
We can be vague.
Okay, and then who of the Snake Oil gang do you have it in for?
Well, I think it would make the most sense for Dixie, so I'm going to go for Bat.
All right, that sounds good. Oh, this is an important thing. So everybody has 4 skills that are the same amongst them. So there's and the skills are, if you played any like Powered by the Apocalypse games, so these are like sort of like moves. So when we're telling the story at certain points, I might say like, that sounds like that might be a move. Like there's like something more there than just walking across the room. You need to roll for that. So the 4 skills that everybody has are Gambler, Sharpshooter, Brute, and Flimflammer. And a Flimflammer is sort of like a con man. Con man, you can kind of think of it that way. And then everybody has a special skill that's just for them as well, or special stat, I should say, that's just for them. So John, what's the gunslinger's special stat?
That would be Nerve.
Okay. Ben, why don't you go next?
Yeah, I'm going to play the preacher, and I'm going to say that I'm in for stealing from my parishioners, skimming a little off the top.
Okay, a little off the top.
Is that acceptable? That I
That's extremely acceptable.
Push the character in that that direction.
Yeah,
awesome.
A real quick question, just so some nuance on that. So skimming like a little bit, or is it like basically all of it?
I mean, it started a little, but once you've punctured that membrane, then I think it becomes increasingly easy to rationalize.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the difference between a little and a lot when you're already sinning? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. And then, what member of the Snake Oil's gang do you have it in for?
I'm gonna say Aces.
Okay. Aces high. Okay.
And my special skill is empathy.
Yes. Excellent. All right, let's jump on over to Toby then.
So I see that in my inventory of stuff, I have a fake deed, and my flim-flam is decent. So I'm thinking that I've, attempted to like con somebody out of maybe something, a site of, maybe a plot of land or a gold creek or something like that.
Yeah, let's do like, since you're a prospector, I guess, how do you feel about like someone's claim on like a specific part of the river?
Yeah, I probably tried to con someone out of a few of their acres.
Okay. And so you have the fake deed, but it didn't go well.
Right.
Okay. And then what member of Snake Oil's gang do you have it in for?
I think I probably at some point tried to con the Bat, and he did some damage to me as a consequence of a failed con.
Okay.
And so he looks like a brawler of sorts.
Sounds good.
And my special skill is Foolish.
That I'm excited to see how that comes up. We'll figure out like together sort of exactly what that means, but the way that I'm thinking about it initially is it'll be sort of like a lucky stat, right? Like you might do some foolish stuff, and sometimes it goes well for you. So. All right, Brandon, over to you.
Yes, so I am playing the Madam, and I think initially the Madam ran afoul of local law on a pretense of not pulling the correct permits for their business.
Okay.
But that was actually just a shakedown operation, and what actually got them thrown in the clink was assaulting the local constabulary that was trying to run the shakedown and broke a whiskey bottle over the guy's head.
Whiskey Bottle Justice, which would be a really good name for this adventure. But okay. All right, and then what member of Snake Oil's gang do you have it in for?
I see equal opportunity between Aces and Dixie.
Okay.
Is
Let's
Dixie
do.
still an
Yeah,
option?
Well, you can
Or
have Dixie, and I'll take snake oil, and
Okay.
that way everybody has somebody different.
That
I like
sounds
that.
great.
Yeah.
So Dixie Deadeye. And then, all right, so let me go back. And then, John, so you're going to do snake oil himself.
Mm-hmm.
The snake oil kid.
Although he looks a little old.
It's an old nickname.
Yep, it's an old nickname.
He's young at heart.
Mayhaps he thinks of himself a little bit differently than other people think of him.
He's got a cousin in New York who's running some kind of candy and chocolate factory, as far as I can tell
Yes.
from
Yeah.
from the illustration.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So we have gone through. I think these characters are really good. I will probably. I guess it's up to you. So you can name your characters if you want, but I also sort of just like the idea of referring to them as their titles. I guess what's sort of your feeling on that?
I think since I'm going to go kind of rough and rugged with my guy, he probably wouldn't really introduce himself. So calling him the
Okay.
gunslinger is A-OK.
Okay.
I kind
Sounds
of
good.
enjoy the abstraction
Yeah.
of boiling it down to the spaghetti Western tropes that we're fulfilling. That's kind of a satisfying part of the genre fiction for me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Works
All
for
right.
me.
That is a really interesting point, and that actually came up when we were building the dungeon. We were kind of thinking through like we've all probably interacted with westerns, but none of us know it deeply, like we might say a fantasy world. So I think as you're playing, I think for like bringing your other players sort of in on what you're doing, the more you can kind of lean on some of those tropes, I think is going to be better for that. So
Especially for a 2-hour game.
yeah, especially for a 2-hour game, we can rely on stereotypes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, cool. So I did want to take a second to talk about lines and veils. So we chatted about a few things beforehand. We're going to try to stay away from sexism, racism, homophobia, some of those sorts of things, which totally fine by me, and I think we're all in agreement on that. Is there anything else that you feel like might come up, or anything else that you wanted to just state that like let's just avoid this entirely if it comes up? And I have something that I can start with too.
I'll name one that is something for me that comes up occasionally. It usually kind of sneaks up when it shows up. Depictions of things like torture,
Mm-hmm.
like consent violating actions against NPCs is kind of, regardless of what the consent violation is usually a line for me.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah.
I'm assuming that doesn't, like, shooting is obviously a consent violation, but
Yes.
I'm assuming we're okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, because
That's
I'll be a
actually
trick shot guy.
Yeah.
That's a really fair point.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to note that that this might be like a Western coded dude thing, right? Where like violence against others versus engaging in consent violations against a person who continues living and has to live with the consequences of those consent violations live in different camps in my brain.
Yeah.
Which I
Okay.
might need to be interrogating that experience more deeply.
Well, I like how
Cancel the game. Let's dig into this.
Cancel,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hang on,
Let's talk.
therapy
Audience.
time. Nope, we're out.
Yeah.
the audience who's listening can't see our video, obviously, but a really cool effect is that when he was talking about that, the camera did a slow zoom on him. So it was like
Yes.
it was getting
Yes.
more intense as he spoke.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, so I think I agree. I think they're, like part of working with the genre is going to be like you're going to shoot people, right? Like, and that's right. Maybe we can have a little conversation just in a bit about exactly what we want that to look like. I think that actually would be a good thing to talk about. But yeah, I'm also with you. Let's avoid like the torture, the relishing in it part.
I think if we can keep, kids out of the line of fire, that's also a pretty safe, easy one that just doesn't need to come up.
Yep, that's good. Yeah,
They can be
really
part of
good.
the story, obviously, but
Yeah.
How else are we going to get our newspapers?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I mean, there's something that I find incredibly awkward, but it's not necessarily something that I want to. I'm a little bit concerned about the madam character, and I don't want to impinge on your role playing abilities at all. But like seduction is always awkward at a table for me, and awkward, not off the table, but just maybe we can like hand wave it or like just sort of say it happened rather than necessarily going into all of the nitty gritty, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make it a veil? I've never really used this language or mechanic before,
Yeah.
or this structure.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Yeah, sorry, Toby, I should have defined those terms a little bit. Yeah, so a line is just like we're not going to do it. A veil is it can happen, but we don't want to dwell on it, or otherwise it's sort of off screen.
I mean, since it's not my character, though, I just want to be sure, Brandon, you're okay with that, right?
Yeah, and I really appreciate you naming that. That's actually directly in line with how I was planning on playing the character anyway, was leaning more toward like the hard-nosed, gritty business person versus the seductress who is trying to bard their way through the encounters.
Yeah.
I love how bard has become a verb.
Yeah. Cool. At any point too, so if there's something that does come up that you're like, oh, in the moment I'm not comfortable with this, we'll also use something called the X card as well. So if you want to, you can just put your hands up sort of in front of your camera like that, like cross your arms like that, and we can also just back off and sort of back off from that and restate it. Again, like I'm running a PG sort of style game, but sometimes there can be stuff that'll surprise you. Like for me, right? If like there's a spoiler alert, right? If there was a giant spider that showed up like that, I don't like that, right? Yeah. So I prefer that to suddenly become a veil, right? Like that. So, and that's something that you might not think to mention in this sort of conversation.
I mean, that's genre appropriate. We've all
Yeah.
seen Wild Wild West, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Giant mechanical spider. Mm-hmm.
Will Smith is a veil for me.
Yeah. Yes. Oh boy. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's dive in then to the game itself. You are all in jail, right? And you've been in jail for a couple days or so. At this point, it's pretty boring. You're sort of waiting on the law to come and figure out what to do with you, with each of you. So you probably know each other enough at this point, and you know your backstories and sort of like a little bit of what you're good at. You're probably also getting on each other's nerves at this point as well. As you were there, and then I should mention. So you are in the town of Scorpion Grass. So Scorpion Grass got its name from the local flower that grows around there. It is a flower called the forget-me-not, and like it just grows all over the place there. And so the town was originally called Forget-Me-Not, and this was a nice, lovely name. And someone said, "Did you know that actually the more scientific name is Scorpion Grass?" And once you hear that, you kind of can't go back. So Scorpion Grass has taken on a little bit of a rough and tumble reputation on account of the name as well. So you are now you've been in this jail for a little bit, and it's starting to get towards like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And all of a sudden, you start hearing a commotion coming outside the jail, and then you start hearing some people yelling, "Fire! Fire!" And all of a sudden, you start seeing some smoke and stuff rising out of the windows and things like that. And there's a couple gunshots, and there's a sound of horses running and all that. And from your vantage point, you can't really see what's going on. Yeah, you're inside of kind of one cell. There's one door out of it, and I think like just past that jail cell door, you can sort of see the front door as well. Like looking out, there might be like one tiny window, and you see some people kind of racing back and forth. Is there anything that you'd like to do at this junction?
So I'm assuming there's nobody in the jail, right? Like it's just us, not a deputy or anything like that.
Yeah, the sheriff left you earlier this morning, and he has not come back. Although this is surprising to you, he normally does come back around lunchtime at least to check in.
Is this like in those scenes where they like leave the keys on a hook by the door that's like just out of our reach that we've been staring at all day?
Yeah, it is there. It's probably not like just out of your reach. It's like more like on the other side of the room, right? So like you can see it, and you've probably tried a number of different ways to get at it, but there's just isn't quite a way to get there.
If I look out the window of this cell, could there possibly be a drunk of sorts, kind of like in the alley, that maybe I could convince of something? Or
yeah, Toby, this sounds like excellent time for some sort of roll. Right, some sort of looking around roll. Yeah, I'm gonna call this this is probably something like a sharpshooter roll, right? Because you're kind of like trying to look at something.
Okay.
Yeah. So looking at your character sheet, it looks like the prospector has a sharpshooter of 1. So you're going to so in the mechanics that we're using, again, we're using a modification of the caltrop core system. This is a super simple system. Every time that you roll d4s, and you take your highest one. So on a 1, it'll be a failure. On a 2, it's a partial failure. A 3, a partial success, and a 4, an absolute success. So yeah, Toby, you've got 1 in sharpshooter. Go ahead and roll your 1 die. Let's see what happens.
All right. 4.
Oh,
First
4.
roll.
Nice.
Absolute success. So an absolute success, you get what you want and more. So I think what happens is you manage to, like, there's someone wandering by, sort of like stumbling around a little bit, and they look in at the exact right moment where you're looking at them. I guess, what do you?
Yeah, so I think I'll use a little flim flam here, maybe to say, we had a drink, and I sure owe you one, but I'm gonna get you that drink, but I'm stuck in here.
Okay.
Maybe, I know there's a lot of stuff going on, but help me out. I'll help you out.
Yeah. So they'll open the door and kind of look in, and they'll like, the prospector. I didn't think you'd be in here at all. Did you see the fire?
Yeah, unrightfully put in here, and I just need you to grab those keys. And yes, there is a fire.
These keys right here. Yeah. He'll like he'll grab them, and he'll kind of like look, and he'll kind of put them back. He's like, I don't know if I should let you out. He'll start to put him back. But he's still sort of like looking at you. Does anyone else want to do anything?
Can I'd like to chime in. Is it safe to say that I'm sort of known around town?
Oh yeah.
Given that I'm the local preacher. Cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to be like, son, please, you have to understand. We're in here, and it wouldn't be right for you to leave us trapped in here. You can smell the fire, we can smell it. You got to hand us those keys, please.
Yeah, all right. This is going to be well, you tell me, are you trying to con him, or are you trying to make an earnest and honest connection with this person?
I'm trying to make an earnest and honest connection.
Okay, I'm gonna call this empathy. So go ahead and roll 4d4.
3 is my highest.
Okay, so this is a partial success. So you get what you want, but things get complicated. So this wandering drunk is gonna say, like, I'll tell you what, I'll go get the mayor, bring him in here, and we'll get you out together, because I'm sure the mayor wouldn't want you burning up or anything like that. So
that's an incredible idea.
Yes,
but let me just say, there's sort of a time constraint, and maybe what we could do is you could let us out, and then we could all go together to discuss it with the mayor.
Okay.
Like a same but in a different order. Essentially, it's the same thing that you're suggesting, but just okay. We don't burn alive.
Yeah, he'll nod, right? But he's gonna try to hold you to it. Like, we gotta go see the mayor, right? So he'll walk over and like kind of fumble with the keys, right? And it's like sort of painful. At this point, you can feel that the fire has started to kind of like spread to the jail itself as well, right? Like, so I mean, this is a big like thick timbered building, right? Like, it's not made out of metal or anything. They don't have that much, right? So it's starting to like lick and like heat up that jail cell as he's like flipping through keys, like turning around.
Hard?
Yeah, he's like fumbling. So he finally finds one and manages to unlock it. And he's like, okay, let's go find the mayor, like that. Okay. Yeah. So I guess, are you going to follow him? What are you going to do?
Well, the first thing I do is I head to where I know our provisions are kept.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bust open whatever that is. So if it's a cabinet, I bust open the cabinet and make sure I don't come out of here unarmed.
Yes. Yes, you can get so anything that's on your character sheet right now. I guess I should have said, like, you didn't have it in the jail cell. Like, now you can kind of collect your belongings like that. If you want to. And then he's going to stumble out just yelling, "Mayor, mayor," like that. And he's gonna try to track down the mayor as soon as possible.
I'm kind of envisioning like a Blazing Saddles style jail here, and there's a sheriff's desk of some sort,
Yeah.
and I'm heading straight for that thing, trying to find a bottle of tequila or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever his private stash is.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and roll foolish?
Perfect.
You're going to steal from the sheriff. This is foolish.
Wow,
might
the
be
building is
foolish.
burning down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 4.
A 4, absolute
Hard not to
success.
get one on
It
44.
is not only do you find that bottle of tequila, but it is full.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think so Brandon, I think the madam recognizes this bottle as one of her like really good top shelf ones that somehow made its way into the bottom of the desk here for some reason.
I knew that sucker's been skimming off the top for weeks, just coming in every time I wasn't around to make sure that I was keeping an eye on the bar. That simple-minded, sweaty bar keep no good horse puck. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind when I get back. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, okay. Like while you're rifling through, you're getting all your stuff and all that. So the drunk has left. You kind of hear him shout, like, as there's lots of commotion and stuff outside, I guess. Are you leaving?
I'm gonna walk up. I'm assuming there's a wall of wanted posters, right?
Yeah, so there's a wall of wanted posters, and there's one for each of you actually up there, just
Well,
sort of
certainly
waiting
taking
just in
mine down.
case. Yeah.
And if there is one of the snake oil kid, I'm grabbing that as well.
Yeah, there is actually one of the snake oil kid. So yeah, I think you also see sort of like all the posters that I shared with you earlier. You can see those of each of the members of the gang there as well. They're a known gang inside of Scorpion Grass. Yeah, and you've definitely had run-ins with them before. Yeah. Okay. What else would you like to do?
I'd like to step out onto the porch, and the guy who's running down the street yelling "Mayor,"
Mm-hmm.
I want to grab about a fist-sized rock, heft it, and whip it at the back of his head to knock him out.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you step out into absolute quite a commotion, right? So like I mentioned, I mean, the fire has been spreading. Looks like about half the town's on fire. A bunch of people are trying to put it out right now. You can see actually, since the sheriff is the one who rounded all of you up, you can actually see the sheriff laying face down in the dirt, sort of in the middle of town. There's some horses sort of running off in all directions like that as well. And yeah, that man is sort of like running towards someone who you recognize as the mayor, who's also kind of like looking around frantically, like not quite sure what's going on. Okay. And this is when you decide to hurl a rock at him.
Yeah. I'm just looking to knock him out before he gets to the mayor so that we can escape unnoticed.
All right, this is a sharpshooter roll.
Well, good thing I'm a gunslinger. All right, so highest, right? Because I rolled 2 1s and a 4.
Yeah, it is the highest, so an absolute success.
All right, so it's the 4.
Let's see. Yeah, so you throw that. I think you knock him clean out before the mayor can before he can converse with the mayor at all. So he can't. Yeah, he doesn't relay anything to the mayor about you.
Perfect.
At this point, I will say at this point, right? You did take a little bit of time. I think the mayor does see you at this point, but he does not quite clock that he's seeing you because someone came in and let you out like that. But he is going to run over and he knows all of you a little bit. And he'll come up and say, "Oh my goodness, the snake oil gang, they came, they hit us fast. Can you help? Do you think you could help? I've got a lot on my mind right now. As you can see, half the town is burning here. The sheriff, well, he got himself shot too." Oh.
Mayor, you happen to be talking to 3 of the most important people in this town. Me, the preacher, and me. What are you going to do to sweeten the pot for us if we choose to help you?
Why don't you roll something for this? This is going to be Flim Flammer.
Flim Flam. Oh boy.
I think you're trying to con him a little bit, right?
I got a 3.
You got a 3, partial success. You get what you want, but things get a little complicated. He'll look at you and say, "Now, I know you all got a rap sheet sort of about as long as well, this here street here. uh, what if I say you get snake oil, dead or alive, and I'll make some of that go away. I'll make all of it go away. Can you do it tonight?
You had me at all of it.
I say one more thing, and I
Mhm.
walk over to the sheriff, boot him over, grab his badge, toss it in the air, pin it to myself.
The mayor said, "Oh, well, I'll tell you what. You get snake oil, and I think that makes you the law around here."
All right.
Yeah,
You three my deputies. Let's go.
yeah. The mayor. Yeah. So the mayor, just to fast forward a little bit, the mayor will indicate to you that that snake oil came into town. They started burning everything. Snake oil came up to the mayor's office and actually took his grandfather's map off the wall and started hooting and hollering and saying like, "This is it! I found it! This is it!" like that, and started to leave out of town. The map itself was of this mine that's sort of on the outskirts of town called Wishbone Mine, which you would all know. This is a mine that was shut down actually by the preacher's father, who's also the preacher here. They started to find a bunch of dinosaur bones in there, and the preacher's father said, "Oh no, those are the devil's bones. You can't mine."
I mean,
there
that's
anymore."
just that's a
Yeah,
given. Yeah, that goes
yes,
without saying.
yeah, of course. Yeah, so this abandoned mine, and there's always been rumors that there's been stuff in there. Kids will go and like dare each other to go in there, to go in the mine and see what they can find and that sort of stuff. But like no one's found anything. But apparently, snake oil thinks he's found something. So with that sort of exposition aside, the mayor the mayor will tell you, now I know the gang is sort of in and around here somewhere, so just be careful. Uh, Wishbone's probably a good half day's ride, maybe 2 or 3 hours if you make good time. And you better get going. I don't know about the horse situation around here. You might want to check over by the stables. There might be a few horses that haven't been spooked.
All right. I'll mosey over that way.
Okay.
I like the
Rex?
idea that we all sort of do sort of like a saucy Western walk over the
Yes.
horses,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all like shoulder to shoulder, like walking,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah,
cool
I
guy.
gotta do
Like,
that
yeah,
thing where I light a match on my cheek and
Yeah, exactly.
fire up like this tiny nub of a cigar that's
yes.
been obviously chewed to death.
Yeah, you've just been
Mhm.
chewing a cigar for the last 2 days.
Oh,
It's just this
absolutely.
soggy.
That's the
Oh.
only nourishment I need.
Tobacco. Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you tell me again the name of the mine? I didn't write it down.
Oh, it's the Wishbone Mine.
Wishbone.
Mm-hmm.
Did he
I
say we're
think,
going to the Did he say we're going to the Wishbone mine? I don't know.
Yep.
I haven't been there, but my dad says it's full of devils.
Yep.
I'll take a big long pull from this bottle, comment on how nice and smooth this is, and then hand it to Father Padre here, who's Father Padre's father was talking of devil bones, and say, "Here's a little courage."
Yeah, I
think
sort
we're
of
gonna need
feign offense, and then I very discreetly draw a flask from inside my jacket, and I top that up, and then I feign offense again, and I hand it to someone else.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess as you're walking, it is no less chaotic. There's the townsfolk are basically fully consumed with trying to keep this fire in check. Madam, I think your inn itself, right? It is probably. Oh, no, you tell me. Is it on fire? Were you smart enough to like have it be separate from everything else, or is it all like? Is it right next to everything in the middle of town?
It's pretty much in the middle of town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that it's definitely catching fire. This is one of those do what you can with what you have sort of situations, not my own ideal business choices.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, that is going to sting, but I'm sure you'll find a way to recover.
Yeah, stiff upper lipped madam kind of marches past the burning down building in a very 1980s action film cool guys don't look at explosions kind of sense.
Yeah.
And just eyeballs every single employee standing out in front of that space, just running around losing their minds because of all the violence and like the inn is on fire and all that. And just the madam just shakes her head, and not a single one of them managed to put the dang thing out. Laggards, every last one of them.
That's great. She's got high standards. What can you say?
If you got
yeah,
time
so I
to
think
lean, you got time to clean. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so I think as you're kind of listening to the madam mutter to herself, yeah, you can start to see the stables. They are set off a little bit, and kind of like at the end of town, right? People come in. If they don't need their horses, right, they might keep them at the stables like that. So it's sort of on the outskirts, smells a little bad, right, that sort of stuff. Yeah, so the stable itself has enough room probably for 8 to 10 horses or so inside of it. It is a building. It has some openings for the horses to stick their heads out and stuff like that. There's sort of one entrance at the front and one entrance at the back. What would you like to do?
Do we have horses?
You cannot see. Well, let's see. From here, you can tell that there are horses in there.
Okay.
Is there anyone
I
like-
may advise we should perhaps cover both the entrance and the exit so as to ensure our steeds do not flee upon our entrance.
My guy nods in agreement, and so just to kind of give you an idea as to how I'm going to try and play this. I don't know how successful I'm going to be, but I'm going to be talking my nonverbal cues out because
Okay.
I don't think this guy talks all that much.
Oh,
So
cool.
We're talking a real like full on thick Wilford Brimley mustache where it's covering his entire lips, and he does most of his speaking with his eyebrows. So he just kind of gives a nod to what the madam says and starts walking around the back. His hand never straying too far from his gun, but he doesn't draw it.
Nice. Okay. All right. So he's heading towards the back. Is anyone else joining him?
I think Prospector is probably heading in through the front. Honestly, just looking for a stable hand or something if there's someone in there.
Okay.
I think
All
if
right.
the gunslinger's
Yeah,
headed around the back, that the madam will follow suit and let the prospector and the preacher take the front entrance. The respectable folk in the front door, and the perhaps less so around the back.
Yeah.
You said it.
Respectable, strong, but yeah.
Yeah. So Prospector, let's see. You just walk in straight. You're looking for a stable hand.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if there's somebody there.
Yeah. You walk in and you see the back of someone who is like his hand. As you walk in, you sort of see like this hand go up like to the side of his head and then like whip down like that. You just catch just this glimpse of a playing card kind of flying through the air and then sticking itself into this post sort of in the middle of the stable. Like that, and then you see him grab another card and just do it again like that. That's what you see as you walk in.
Boss fight.
I mean, I think I'll just shout out to him. I'll say, it's going crazy out there. Like, now we're going to need 4 horses, and we've been deputized. And I got this, and I'm like holding up this deed like far enough away that like there's clearly some writing on it that looks relatively official.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just leaning into it.
Yeah,
we've been deputized, and we need these. This is for the greater good.
Yeah. With like barely like he like looks over his shoulder like this and then takes the last card in his hand, flips it back behind him, and it just rips through your deed.
Oh no!
No,
That's
I
like,
needed that.
Yeah, and he goes like, "Oh, looks like we have visitors. Snakelo said that we might have visitors here. Oh, this will be fun." Yeah, and you'll turn around and you will recognize immediately. You'll recognize Aces High in front of you. Let's see, Preacher, you're there as well.
Yeah, so I know that we had said that I had sort of a relationship with an existing member of, or with a member of the gang, but we didn't really describe the nature of that relationship. And
Yes.
my instinct is that the preacher is like frightened of aces. Like I've been in a dire situation with him before, and maybe even had my butt kicked by him in the past. So I'm sort of, when I see that it's aces, I definitely recognize him, and I sort of like step back away and towards the door, leaving the prospector. Sorry, prospector.
That is great.
This might be dating myself, but I see the preacher is totally like this Don Knotts type character.
Nice. Yeah, let's see. Why don't you give me let's see. So give me a roll, preacher. Do you want to not be seen at all? Like, are you trying to like stealthily hide? Or are you just trying to like be like, well, I'm with the prospector, but like don't look at me. Like, what's your play here?
I think I recognize that I've sort of been seen. I'm mostly just trying to put distance between. So I guess I'm not so much trying to lie to aces as I am trying to lie to the prospector that I'm still supporting him while putting distance between myself and aces.
Okay, cool. This is awesome. I mean? Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and roll empathy?
But yeah. Oh, sorry. Empathy, you said?
Yeah, empathy.
4.
Cool. 4. Yeah, I guess, let's see. Toby, are you okay if I speak for your character a little bit right here on your reaction, or do you want to narrate? Okay.
I mean, yeah you can. Okay. If I protest with it, then I'll say. But otherwise, go ahead.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I think the vibe you get from the preacher is sort of like this is your game to play. Like the preacher has stepped back like that. I think also with a 4 on that, the other thing that you get, preacher, is that Aces High sees you. He doesn't remember you, which probably stings.
Like I should be insulted by that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but like he doesn't like. There's like this brief moment of like you can see him kind of flicker, like, should I know this guy? I'm like, just nothing like that. Yeah. So Aces High will then turn to you, prospector, and say like so I guess what exactly are you doing here? You do know the town's on fire, don't you care? What are you here for?
And so horses? I know this person, right? Or like at least I would recognize this person, and I know that they are not a stable hand, and they are not someone who's like going to just give me 4 horses because I said I'm a deputy.
Yeah, so Aces High, let me kind of describe this guy a little bit. So you can see that Aces High has money, and like not the kind of money that you see normally around here. What you've heard about Aces High is that he's the son of someone who is quite rich elsewhere. And he has gone off to run and join a gang, so he thought it would be fun to join a gang. Don't you know? And you also know that he cannot resist gambling at all. This man just gambles all the time. You never see him without a deck of cards in his hand.
I think I may try and play the foolish thing here. So I'm thinking like, it is a mess in here. Like, let me grab this like giant broom and this like bucket or something that's around and just start like swinging things around, and maybe like somehow opening a few of the stable, like the doors that would let horse. I'm just creating chaos within chaos.
Yeah, let's go ahead and roll foolish and sort of see how successful you are, and then we can narrate how that looks.
3.
So this is a partial success. So you get what you want, but things get complicated. I think what happens is you start like you start saying like, oh, it's a mess in here, like that. You pick up some stuff. I think you're able to start swinging around. I think what happens is Aces gets just flat out disgusted with you. Like you might you accidentally get some manure on his very nice his very nice pants, and he's like, oh, like, please, that's not necessary. So he's fully distracted. He's trying to sort of get you to stop right now, and so you have sort of his full attention. So let's cut over to the other crew who's coming in the back.
I think the madam is trying to read the room to understand if there's an opportunity here to move unseen by aces, or if aces is still aware enough of the environment that the smarter move is to announce their presence and try to engage him socially in some way, trying to
Yeah.
figure out if I can
Hmm.
get through stealthily.
Yeah, I think you will be able to tell, like, you can get in stealthily. I think you can position yourself. You cannot get 2 horses out of here without him knowing right now.
Got
If
it.
that makes sense.
Got
Yeah.
it.
You certainly can't get 4. You can't get 2. I don't even think 1 would be a stretch, right? But you can probably position stuff to be to your benefit.
Okay.
Has he turned his back to me in being distracted by the prospector, like in his
Yes.
interaction
Yeah.
with the prospector? Okay.
Yeah. Like he remembers that you're there. He's not going to be like, oh, another person. But like, yeah, I think he's not paying attention to you either right now.
Got it.
Okay.
So I
I'd
think
like to try and. I was going to say I'd like to try and hit him in the back of the head with a horseshoe that I find sitting on top of a stall.
Okay. All right. This is going to be a brute, I think. Are you throwing it, or are you going to?
No, I'm doing that thing where I'm sort of like I'm nervously like I don't know what to do, but then I see it. My eye like locks onto the horseshoe, and I immediately make the decision. I'm like, I grab it and I just try and just crank him in the back of the head with it.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and roll brute.
The prospector is just like continuing to smear manure on this guy, saying, "Oh, let me clean that off," and it's just getting worse and worse. Like picking up his cards, and now they're covered in manure.
They're just like stuck to your hand. You're like,
no.
I rolled a 4.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. So you have 2 in brute. You rolled a 4. Yeah, I think you were able to clock him really good over the head. I think he's wearing a hat. It's a very nice hat. It probably has a feather that's like way too long, like that. Yeah, you knock it clean off his head, and he starts to bleed out of the back of his head. The back of his head. He does not
also like fall over a little.
Yeah, he stumbles a bit, but he does maintain his balance, which is surprising.
No, sorry. I mean, I fall over as I do. Like that's sort of how awkward and unaccustomed to physical violence I am. I'm sort of like,
yeah. I think what you see, so as you fall over, you kind of like, we'll just say for narrative effect, like you fall sort of next to his hat. You can see inside of the hat that there's actually this very complicated contraption that's hooked up that like at the end of it has an ace attached to it as well. It sort of looks like there is a button he could probably hit that would drop an ace like sort of out down his back of his
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Confused.
Yep.
Can I attempt to like sweep the leg as he's like stumbling forward?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, so if you're just going to try to wreck this guy, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, go ahead and try to sweep his leg. This would be a
brute or sharpshooter.
Probably brute. Yeah, so I think I'll most likely be ruling that brute is whenever you're going to do like melee style stuff, and sharpshooters any certain distance.
So I'm keeping an eye on this comedy here, and what I'm looking for, I'm letting them have their moment. What I'm looking for is the moment Ace draws a card, I'm going to shoot it out of his hand.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm basically just acting protector right now.
Okay. All right. So Toby, you have tried to sweep the leg at this point, and you rolled a 2, which is a partial failure. So you do not get what you want at all. So I think you start to do that. I think he grabs your leg as you're trying to. I don't know. Like I don't know enough about like martial arts for exactly what would happen, but basically he takes you and flips you over. But I think he throws you hard enough that like you go into another stall. Right, like it's like it's pretty surprising. Like you did not think he had that sort of strength. Like all of a sudden you're flying across, like that. Okay, all right. Let's see the way, and I would like you to actually take the hurt.
Oh my!
Yeah. Oh my!
All right.
Yeah. So everybody on the character
what does
sheet.
That mechanically mean?
Yeah, mechanically that means that you are hurt. So there's hurt and dead in this. So hurt. What we're gonna do is we'll kind of play this scene by scene. So hurt means that it'll be harder for you to do stuff in this, and we'll just sort of like play that narratively a little bit. Like, so if you decided to try to sweep his leg again, that'll probably be with disadvantage. At this, at the end of this scene, we'll clear off your hurt thing. If you die, we will not clear that.
Come on, zombie prospector.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happens there. Okay, so let's see, Ben, you're sort of waiting to see if you can get a shot off right now. Let's see.
Well, I'm letting them. So I'm sort of, like I said, just kind of waiting back. Like I'm waiting for him to actually get dangerous before I shoot him.
Okay. Yeah, I think, let's see. So
I'm trying to be white hat.
Gotcha. Yeah, the prospector has gone kind of flying into that into the stall, and I think at that point that's when he raises his card.
All right, that's
raises his card, and you're gonna try to shoot. Okay.
Shoot it out of his hand.
Little sharpshooter.
Oh wow!
My bottle of tequila.
My first one was a 4, so
okay.
I assume that card goes flying.
Yep, that card goes flying out of his hand, and he'll kind of like look back at you like, no one shoots my cards out of my hand.
I just shake my head no.
Yeah. Okay. Oh man, a few words like that. And he'll stop at this moment. He's like, gentlemen and lady, nice to see you, madame. I think we've gotten off on the wrong foot, as it were. Could you maybe stop trying to kill me for a minute?
I spit on the ground and holster my weapon.
Okay. Madam, what do you do?
Madam approaches.
The madam. What do you do?
Madam approaches and says, I do believe that perhaps we have gotten off on slightly the wrong foot. Do excuse me, and I rustle into my my little handbag. No, I have a little something to introduce myself, and I pull out my bottle of perfume, and I spray perfume in his eyes.
Okay, all right.
And I kick him in the shin.
Okay, all right.
That's not where I thought this was going.
GM tries to de-escalate, and I say no thanks.
Yeah, totally fine.
Yeah, we're not going to get that gambling scene, Chris. It's just going to be murder all the way.
That's fine. I have many notes for different directions this could have taken. So. Do you want to? This is going to be, I think, sharpshooter for how accurately you can spray perfume in a man's eyes.
Oh, that's only one die.
Okay.
It's still a 3.
Hey.
Okay. Still
All
3 is a
right.
partial success. You get what you want, but things get complicated. Yeah, I think you spray that in his eyes. I think he hits it out of your hand. That perfume is now gone. That's
Dang.
the thing that happens. Like that, his eyes are burning quite a bit. My eyes, I use those.
I need both of them.
Yeah, he is like, so he's sort of like, screaming. He actually like grabs some of like the manure to like rub
Oh.
some of it through.
Oh, God.
Like, yeah, he's just like anything to try to get it out. Like, yeah. Okay, yeah. What would you like to do next? Let's go back to you, Ben.
So he's sort of fumbling around. My instinct is that he is just sort of like, he has kicked my butt in the past, and so my instinct is that I want to sort of stand up. I'm awkwardly covered. Still, I'm covered in manure because I fell over, and I want to try and grab the now sort of slick horseshoe and clock him again. That's sort of my instinct.
Yeah, I mean, you do have it in for him, so I don't. Yeah, I think you would. Yeah, go ahead and roll. Given the situation, I'll give you an extra die on this one, so you can take an extra one because he's sort of incapacitated a bit at this point.
4.
All right,
Nice.
that'll do it. So I want you to tell me: are you trying to knock him out? Trying to kill him? What's sort of your plan for what this load is?
I'm not familiar with violence, so I don't know that I would have the precision to distinguish between one and the other. I would not choose to try and kill him. So I'd say, given the choice, I'm just trying to knock him out. But I don't know. I don't know that I'll be able to make that determination on my own.
Yeah, I think you surprise yourself at how hard you hit him. He does sort of like get knocked out at this point. There's like, as he falls, like some cards go flying. I think if you look down, you can see that like half of them are aces. Right? It's just like this man's a total cheating again. But yeah, you
Just like a poof of cards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's like a
just
poof of
explodes into cards.
yeah. It's like
I
the
sort of
end of
stand up. Sorry, I was gonna say I stand up and I sort of straighten my cloak and I fix my collar, which is now my collar has sort of popped out, and I sort of tuck it back in, try and reclaim some dignity.
So
yes,
good.
yeah.
I think
Sort of
the
smear my
prospector.
hair back.
Yeah, I think the prospector kind of hobbles out of that stall, like maybe like nods to the preacher, picks up Ace's hat, like rubs it, not clean, but like the action would look as if he was attempting to clean it, but everything's filthy. Tosses the hat onto Ace's ear and says, "We just needed some horses, man. That's it."
All right.
Can
That's
you
great.
and I, prospector,
Yep.
and I, like, I'll take my flask out and then we'll sort of clink and take a quick swig.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I
Well,
think
we're in
we'll kind of fade out on this scene. I think that's a perfect way to end it. Yeah, so you have horses now. You know where the Wishbone mine is.
Can we say that Ace was tied up and delivered to the prison?
Yeah, I think you'd probably given like the mayor made it sound like, you got to get there pretty fast. So you probably were able to time up enough that like we'll be back for you later, that sort of thing. Yeah. So do you set out? Is there anything else that you want to do in town?
I'm gonna steal Ace's hat.
Great. Yeah, it is your hat, and it looks very fetching on you.
If there's anybody who's gonna have a hat that lets you cheat in my town, it's gonna be me.
Nice. Cool. Anything else? Any last things before you skedaddle?
I assume that at least one of us will be able to navigate where we're going, right? Like, it's not like we have to go get a map or a compass or anything like that.
Yeah, you would know where the mine is, right? There's probably even like a trail that still goes out there. Okay. The mine is sort of off of that trail too, right? And there's other stuff that's happening around. There's probably even another mine like a half mile past that, right? It's just you're not allowed to go there. There's a sign, I think, when you get close, there's probably a sign, when you get close to it, although you're not quite there, that indicates like closed by order of the order of the church.
Right.
On account of the devil.
I should probably ask this. Do I have narrative amount of bullets, or am I counting my bullets?
That is a really good question. No, you only have the amount of bullets that you have.
Okay. I'm assuming then yes.
Yeah, sorry. So let me say that really clearly. You have a 6-shooter, you have 6 bullets. Right.
Oh, so I have 5 bullets now.
Yeah, you have 5 bullets.
Gotcha.
That goes for anybody that has guns. Okay. Let's see. So I think as you're riding out, right, like it's getting on about probably 4 or 5 o'clock. The sun is starting to set a little bit. It is it's a pretty ride. Like you're going through, some deserts and hills and things like that. As you're going, maybe not deserts, right? You're going through some hills and like some scrub grass and stuff. It's not like forests like that. So you are riding, and probably when you're getting pretty close to the mine at this point when the sun is setting, and the sun is setting sort of behind the mountain, or behind the tall hill that the mine is set into. So you got the sun sort of in your eyes as you're riding towards it as well, and you get maybe 1,000, 2,000 feet out. You hear a gunshot ring out, and a bullet sort of lands good 2 feet in front of the gunslinger's horse. Your horse kind of pulls up and stops, like that.
Well, we know what this is.
And you hear on the wind a voice that says, "Y'all heroes?"
I look back at the other three, raise an eyebrow.
Now, Dixie, this is no kind of way to meet a caller.
Oh, is that you, madam?
I think you know what it is, and I think you know what I'm here about. Now, I done already found 3 of your kin what owed me money. Now, you're the last one. We just here to settle what's right. You square up with
Settle.
me, won't be no problems.
Oh, I'll square up with you. Why don't you come just a little bit closer?
Now, I think we can find an amenable arrangement that may perhaps involve your strength against mine. Perhaps a little wager based upon your shooting prowess against my with cards. What do you say?
Well, I'd say that's kind of interesting. Why don't you give me a roll for that? Yeah, why don't you give me a gambler roll? Let's see.
All right.
With the hat?
That
with the hat.
is 2 4s.
2 4s.
I know
All right.
only 1 4 counts, but I just have to brag on myself.
Yes, yeah, that's good. Yeah, only 1 4 counts. This is an absolute success. You get what you want and more. Okay, so tell me, kind of restate that, I guess. What are you looking for out of this situation? So you've asked her to...
Yeah, I'm trying to convince her that instead of outright murdering us from afar, we should instead engage in some kind of like sharpshooter versus gambler challenge, such that the winner of that challenge gets the outcome that they are looking for to have happen. If that means that we all have to skedaddle, then we all have to skedaddle because I lost. If that means that she settles up for me for this as yet unnamed debt in the past, then she has to settle up and make good on that debt. Okay,
this sounds good. I like this. This is fun. So she will. So Dixie Deadeye will. She'll stand up from her vantage point. Yeah, I think all of you are like a little surprised at where she pops up from. Like, yeah, it was a heck of a shot from where she was too. Yeah, so she stands and says, "Oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I'll tell you what. You line up 4 of your cards on that tree over there." And she'll point. There's like probably like a really like scrubby looking tree like that. Says like, put 4 cards. Make sure one of them's an ace. But put 4 cards up on that tree. If I shoot that ace, you turn around and go back home.
I do believe we have an accord. And I will go over. And as I'm walking over, I'm ripping the guts out of Ace's hat that drops the card.
Yes. Okay.
And
all right,
yeah. So I want to carefully set up 3 actual normal cards, the ace from Ace's hat, but I want to stand off to the side with a remote trigger so that before she shoots anything, I can push the button and have the ace drop out of her field of view and land on the ground bullet free.
This is a perfect plan. What could go wrong?
Nothing. Nothing. It's ironclad.
It's ironclad. I love it.
I'm just trying to picture this MacGyver contraption that's attached to the tree.
It's pretty clear to me, right? So you're putting 3 cards up there. The 4th card you're also putting up there, but it's still it's attached to this mechanism that you have. So at any point, the madam can pull the contraption and it'll actually just move the card out of the way, a couple inches.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I would like you to. Is anyone helping you do this, or is everybody sort of stepping back and watching what's happening? What
boy, I hope someone helps.
I'm praying.
Okay. That's good.
Totally fair.
Considering what you've done today, I don't know if your prayers are going to go.
Oh, wait. I think I have my own idea.
Okay.
All right.
Does your idea? So this is a good point. So, I like Brandon's idea. I want to make sure that can happen. We can honor that. So if there's a way that you can put some nuance on it, or have sort of a backup plan or something like that.
Yeah, it's a backup plan.
Cool. All right.
It relies on ridiculous, impossible things, but we're playing a spaghetti western. This is what I want to set up, and you tell me if this is even possible.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, if it looks like the bullet is going to hit, despite the mechanism, I want to shoot the bullet. So it goes wide.
Okay.
But only if it looks like it's going to hit without the max. Basically, if he rolls a 1 or a 2, I want the opportunity to redirect that.
Okay.
Bollywood physics.
Yeah, I think let's sort of see what happens with this situation here. And then I think can I offer a different option? So if this doesn't go quite well, I think maybe let's table what you said. I have another idea for this doesn't go well.
Okay.
Again, like I'm on your side here. I want to tell like a cool story. So let's sort of see how this first thing goes. Okay, so Brandon, I think what we're gonna do is you are going to roll Gambler versus Dixie Deadeye's Sharpshooter skill on this. Okay, so this will be a contested roll, and we'll see. And what will happen is, if we both roll 4s, we will take all the 4s that we roll and we will re-roll them like that. Does that make sense? Okay. And we'll kind of keep on doing that until one person ends up with the higher number. Yeah, so Dixie's going to stand up and say like, "Whew, madam, you always knew how to have fun." And then she will go into her patter, which if some of you have seen her perform before, you'll recognize and say like, "I'm Dixie Deadeye. I don't miss." So she's going to go ahead and roll. So you got your dice ready? Okay. What do you got?
I got 1-4.
I also got 1-4.
Oh boy, it's a roll off down to 1.
Yeah, she pulls out her her famous like long barreled 6-shooter. Like it's a 6-shooter, but like the barrel itself is like 4 times longer than it should be. Okay, all right, and she has pulled back the hammer on that. Let's roll again. What have you rolled?
2.
Dixie has also rolled a 2.
What?
We're gonna keep going like this.
All right.
You hear it like, you see like Dixie sort of like stops for a second, like puts it up, and she says, "Just a little bit of wind out here. Let's just wait just 1 second. You don't mind, do you?" She pulls back, aims again. Let's roll.
3.
Yeah, she rolls a 2.
Nice.
She fires. You pull the mechanism.
Yep.
Yeah, you're watching her trigger finger, like, right, and she pulls. You pull the mechanism, just like it moves down, like almost imperceptibly, like almost like the wind caught it or so, but like just a few inches, just enough. The bullet like lands right where like the middle like diamond would have been for the ace, like in the tree. She'll look and like she's holding her gun out like that. And she sort of like lets it drop like on her finger, like pointing down. She goes, "But I don't miss. Well, that's strange."
And I don't lose. Sorry, my dear.
Well, madam, I guess we did have a deal. So I guess what? You want me to just sort of let you wander into this mine here?
Well, that's one of the things that's going to happen. But more importantly, a fortnight ago, you and your kin came into my establishment for dinner, and 2 of y'all's party did not pay for your meal. I believe you still owe me 73 cents, and I will be paid what is mine.
73. Well, I'll tell you what. I can either give that back to you in lead inside of your shoulder, or you can go in that there mine and you can ask Snake Oil Kid for that money.
Let it never be said that I am not a charitable, God-fearing woman. I would never choose to forgive you this time. Just mind your manners, young lady, and mind the company that you keep. There are rumors flying about those who you are running with these days, and, well, I'm sure the Reverend here has a couple thoughts about that, but I will keep his tongue still, lest he perhaps wander his way into your ill graces. Friends,
Mm,
gentlemen, shall we? And I start walking up to the mine.
okay. As you're walking up to the mine, you see Dixie raise her gun one more time. He's a, and she just slices all three of them, and then she goes, "Huh." Shoots one more time and shoots the ace right off, right off the mechanism. That's odd. And then she'll duck down behind the rock that she was behind. You'll never see her ever again.
Oh,
Nice. You have not taken her dead or alive, but you have gotten past Dixie Dead in quite a amazing fashion. Okay, yeah. So the interest of the mine then, as you're coming on it, I think it is now like firmly dusk at this point. Yeah, you come up to the entrance, and there's two like giant like dinosaur femurs, sort of like in a in a tent formation, sort of in front of the mine, like that. And I think like right, like you've never seen dinosaur bones before. Like this is a little freaky as you're walking in to the mine. Yeah, and you head inside, and I think there is yeah, you
One
go
might
inside the
say it
mine.
looks like a wishbone.
Yes, it looks like a wishbone. Yeah, I think you go in there and there's a bunch of disused like mining equipment and stuff in there, right? Like it's been stripped for all like the good stuff, but there's still probably some broken pickaxes, things like that. No mine carts, anything like that. They weren't able to like really get things set up. Preacher, I have a question for you. Just to put a little bit of nuance on this, like what is something that your dad always told you was in this mine?
He, my dad had a drinking problem. He didn't hold his whiskey like as well as I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't talk about it much, but when he did, he just sort of muttered to himself about demons and devils and what have you.
Okay.
Didn't give me a lot of specifics. Just made sure I was good and scared of it. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. I think the thing that surprises you when you wander in here is there's like a howling wind that sort of comes out from the cave system that's in front of you, like, and it's this creepy like low like moaning sound. And you totally see, you can totally understand like why your dad would have said that to you, because it sure sounds like there's a demon sort of like in there, sort of deep in the mine, like that. The other thing that you see as you enter is there's sort of like a rough map drawn of the mine as well, like on one of the cave faces. Just as you come in there, sort of gives you like a quick idea about like, okay, go off there. That's where the Smiths were allowed to mine. Go down there. There's the Johnsons, the Coopers, right? Like that sort of thing is split up a little bit. I think Toby, you unfortunately see nothing of your family name in there as you're looking. Yeah,
I'm like digging through the carts, and I'm just like, oh, there's a little life in this still. It's just like just a busted pickaxe. It's like, yeah, this will still swing.
Yeah, let's I mean, I can never resist when someone says I'm going to dig through that and see what I can find. So let's make a roll and see what you find in there. So yeah, Toby, this is your foolish roll again.
Oh man, great.
Oh,
that's a 4.
Dynamite. Please be dynamite.
Oh man.
Yeah, you find like the grossest looking like stick of dynamite in there. Like,
yes.
Yeah, if any of you know, if the others like know what dynamite is, you're like, do not touch that. But like, you're like, oh, touching it. It's that. Yeah. Let's see. I think as you pull it too, you see that there's like, you pull it and like you kind of like pull it off of something too, and it's actually like it's hooked up to like a wick. Like, I guess what do you connect two pieces of dynamite with? Like a line, something like that. Yeah, so it's you kind of like pull it off of that, and there you can see that there's like a line kind of like going off into the cave system.
That's ominous. Maybe leave that for now.
Okay. All right. All right, you're gonna put it back?
No, I'm gonna take the dynamite, but I'm not going to light this like fuse or whatever you're talking about. Like just goes kind of eerily into the depths of this mine.
Yeah, that sounds good. Did you tell anybody about the fuse?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
Now, just in case, we can follow this back out like breadcrumbs.
Yes, that's the big takeaway here. Yeah, okay. So the mine system, like I said, like there's some caves and stuff that go sort of like off, and you can see that they sort of like wind their way down and through, and kind of like keep on going down deeper and deeper underground, and they'll come out into this like river. There's like this gulch in there almost, right? So there's like a river that's flowing through like almost underneath this hill, and it goes out.
Real quick question. So when we were looking at the map and it had all the different families on there, is the deepest part of the mine the mayor's piece?
Let's see. That's a good question. I don't think it is actually.
Okay.
Yeah. The mayor's family is certainly on there with quite a big claim in that mine. Like that's why he's the mayor, right? Like
right.
Yeah. But yeah, his part of it is not indicated as like the deepest part of it.
I was just wondering if maybe because the map that Snake Oil took was the mayor's ancestral map, right? That was the deal?
Yeah. Ancestral map. Yep. Good question. There is, I guess, the one other thing that I want to point out. So like there's this, this system like that. There's also like one elevator too. Elevator is a strong word for what this is. It's like a rickety like mine shaft cart that goes like straight down. This could get you basically have a choice here. You can either go through the cave system. It'll take more time to get through, or you can try to take this elevator. You can see that'll kind of go straight down to the bottom.
And it'll also be very loud, so it'll probably notify whoever is down.
You don't even need to roll for that. It'll be very loud. Yeah.
I'm going to stand over the elevator shaft or the lift shaft and just kind of listen. Do I hear any human sounds from below? Anything that sounds like muffled talking or anything?
Go ahead and roll. This sounds like a sharpshooter, actually.
Okay.
Or I think let's call this a nerve. I think that makes more sense. Like you're kind of like quiet, trying to figure out.
1 second. That is impossible. I literally rolled 4 ones.
That is statistically possible. Absolute failure.
Absolute total failure.
You don't get what you want, and things get a lot worse.
Can I?
Oh no!
Can I like spittoon down the down the mine as he's like looking down there? I'm just like, what do you see? And I just like hawk a big loogie down there.
Yeah, you can do that. And I think what happens is John, as you're kind of peering over, I think you lose your footing a little bit and you fall right into the the elevator thing, right? Like this like mine shaft thing, and it starts to descend.
Okay.
So like you've started to make quite a bit of noise, and I think as you're sort of like you're making all this noise, you watch that like loogie fall and just like sort of disappear into the darkness, and like it hits somewhere, and then you hear the sound of all these bats going, and then like some bats come up.
Goodbye.
But you are descending at this point,
and I'm scowling upwards at the prospector.
I think the prospector jumped on top.
Okay,
he's going down with the gunslinger.
All right,
the prospector well, then I'm definitely scowling upwards at you.
All right, preacher, madam, what are you doing?
I mean, I'm not going to be left alone in this cave, so I'm gonna jump on top with the prospector, my best and oldest friend.
Madam,
I want to see if I can understand the controls for this thing to stop the lift.
Okay. Wow. What an idea.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Roll assess.
Great. That's a 4.
Okay.
Nice.
That's a good thing. Yeah, you can see that the controls are pretty easy, right? There's some sort of counterweight system here on a very long and rickety rope right now. So it's descending. They're probably 5 or 10 feet down at this point. It's pretty easy to stop if you just sort of like grab onto that that rope, and then you can kind of crank it back up if you want to at this point.
100%. That's what I am doing. I am stopping the free fall and winching them back up and just glowering at them as they slowly, like in jerking motions, raise themselves back up to eye level with me.
Oh, that's great.
Sheepishly rise back out of that.
Yeah. I'll just
Now, what kind of fun is that?
Yeah. Yeah, so you managed to get him up. I mean, it's still like it's super loud, right? Like anyone in this mine has now heard you at this point. So what would you like to do? You now know how this thing actually operates. It's not just falling on it.
Well,
Are there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if there are bats that are like pouring out of this.
Yeah, there was a big like flurry of bats that came up. Like probably was pretty scary, and then like kind of flew back around down in the cave system a little bit. You know, some of them probably went out, some of them went down like that. But it's not like this constant stream of bats.
Well, probably in what is going to be probably the longest speech I ever give, I'm going to say, "Well, they know we're here, shall we?" And just point to the, kind of motion for everybody to get on.
Well, now I do have an idea that I'd like to throw out there. I don't want to speak for other people's claims, but we could, if we so choose, break this mechanism, send this lift as fast down to the bottom of wherever the heck that place goes as we can, and chase it with a stick of live dynamite and blow the good sense out of anything that is down there. Now, on the other hand, if there is actually anything worth having in this mine, that would be a truly foolhardy idea.
I'm going to say we have to recover. We have to bring snake oil back if we're going to get the
reward.
You make a fine point, and I am disconcerted that I am being schooled by a prospector.
He knows money when he's...
I like your nuke it from orbit plan, but
yeah. What's the
on the way out?
Sir, we have a compact. Agreed.
All right.
What's the preacher thinking right now?
Normally, I would be adverse to dropping a ton of dynamite down a shaft and potentially murdering a handful of people, but I do happen to know that the devil lives in this mine, so I'm actually quite okay with it.
Okay. Yeah.
I was actually going to suggest the same thing myself.
Yeah. But the prospector's good sense has brought you all around. So time's ticking, I guess. You tell me, what are you going to do?
Well, I'm still standing on the lift itself, waiting for them to make a decision as to whether they're going to get on or not. So I just got that one eyebrow cocked.
In addition to the elevator, is there a mine cart that goes down into the caves in the opposite direction, like in the way that we could have gone, or could still go?
Yeah, you could take there's like a mine cart that you could try to jump in and take that too if you wanted to go down that way.
Does it look like that goes along the same path as the fuse? Because there might be more dynamite in here.
That fuse sort of goes off in the distance. You don't know. You haven't walked down to see what's going on with that.
Well, friends, I have a suggestion, and that is that we have two means of locomotion. And my thinking is, whichever we choose to engage, we also simultaneously engage the other so as to confuse our enemies as to which direction we approach from. Now, do we prefer to seek further dynamite, which is always my preference, or would we prefer to take the shaft down for perhaps a more expedient approach?
Expedient.
I think you think expedient. I was gonna say I think if God gave us a fuse, if God put a fuse in our path it would be an affront to him not to at least follow it.
Okay.
You know, this could be
Oh
this
my
could be the
God.
weapon that he wants us to use against
Mhm.
the devils that occupy this mine. That just seems like good sense.
Okay. So I guess what I'm hearing is it sounds like you want to split the party. So some people want to go down the shaft.
That's not that way,
Others want to
doesn't
go in
it?
the minecart. Yeah.
The one thing they tell you to never do in school.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So you split the party. Who's jumping in the minecart? Let's start with that. The preacher.
I think
I'm down to clown for dynamite. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
you can start to push this minecart. I don't really see the madam as a pushing type. So you're just probably sitting in there.
The madam is 100% riding and is slightly deriding the preacher for not pushing faster.
Okay. All right. Toby, you raise your hand real quick. Are you going on the minecart too, or are you going to go down the shaft?
I think I like the idea of the dynamite, but I will look to the gunslinger and see. I'll try and speak his language.
Yep.
And I do it really awkwardly and like pause in still for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then finally follow him.
Okay. All right. So we're going down the shaft.
Cool. All right. So
One
I think the
eyebrow
shaft
slowly raises, but it's completely mistranslated.
Yes.
The eyebrows going up and down.
Yeah. So I think the mine shaft, like, that's pretty straightforward. You're just going to start to kind of go down, and then get the minecart going. Start to push. You jump in, and it's going, and it's picking up some speed as it's going. It's right, and like it's pretty quickly getting to the point where you can't quite you couldn't stop if you wanted to at a certain point, but you can see, if you're looking and you're trying to follow that fuse, you can see that like at pretty regular cadence there's another stick of dynamite, another stick of dynamite, another stick of dynamite, going all down through this whole place. As you're going, you're picking up just a tremendous amount of speed as you kind of come around this like last corner, and you can see down this like this cave system. You can see this elevator, and you can hear it kind of like kind of coming down at the same time. And in between you two is this large man with these huge ears and this like really gross looking uniform. Gross looking uniform of the English military from around that time, with like the sleeves ripped off like that, and he's staring right at the elevator shaft, just sort of waiting. He's got this big bat in one hand, just waiting, kind of like swinging around in his hand like that. But the minecart, you're coming up behind him at this point. He does not see you at this point. What would you like to do?
When you say behind him, do you mean like we're gonna hit him? Is he on the tracks?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And you're going.
Yeah, I think you're
probably going 15 miles an hour or so at this point.
Yeah, we just pray for the best.
Okay.
I'm gonna ready my 2-shot Derringer on the off chance that someone needs to finish anything that a minecart starts but can't end.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Roll. I think we need to roll something here. I
think the minecart needs to roll.
Yeah, I think the minecart needs to roll, but I don't know what exactly. Let's roll for the minecart. This is going to be a brute roll. I think I'm just going to combine your brutes. So Ben and Brandon will roll 3d4 here. Okay. All right. That was a terrible roll. So you got a 2, which is a partial failure somehow on that. So I think what happens is like sort of like at the last second, you see this man, like you almost see like one of his ears turn a little bit, and he turns around and like he sidesteps you, puts his bat down, and it flips the minecart over. I think you go flying out of the minecart. But you don't get what you want. You also don't get hurt at this point, right? Like you're going pretty fast, but I think you managed to kind of land on your feet. So you are like, I think the people on the elevator, like you sort of like land as you see this minecart tip over, like your compatriots going that way. Yeah, and so that big tough dude will stare at you like oh, cheerio, welcome. I'm the bat, and he'll start advancing on you. What would you like to do?
Who's he advancing on specifically?
All four of you. Looks like he's
Okay.
not even bothered at all by the fact that there's four of you.
All right. So this is the prospectors guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, this is the bat.
so I'll follow your lead.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm trying to
Toby,
figure out how I can use this stray boot that I have,
Mhm.
which of course a prospector would have. Actually, no. Here, we're just gonna go for it. I will probably get hurt in the process, but I want to take my gold pan and just try and make the loudest ping on his head
Okay.
with my gold pan
Yeah, let's do
as I run past or something like that. Mine him for gold.
This is foolish.
Dang it.
This is not even going to do any damage to him, but this is certainly foolish.
Great. In character.
Mm-hmm.
That is 3 4s.
Okay, 3 4s. You only needed 1, but that's good. That's good that you got the other ones. I think what happens is you hit him upside the head. You manage to hit his ear though, and you hear him like ow, like yelp real loud. And you remember, right, because you know the bat, like his sense of hearing is very important to him. He can no longer hear out of that ear at all, which is going to make him very discombobulated. You can see him almost like he's sort of like looking around, like not quite sure which end is up at this point. All right. From here on out, you will take advantage on any roll against the bat. Who's up next? I think let's go to the gunslinger. I think.
All right. So how much environment editing are we allowed, or are you just going to tell us what's available?
You tell me what you want to be there, and I'll tell you if it's too much, but it's probably not going to be. Like if you want a chandelier down here, that's going to be a stretch.
I want a chandelier down here. That's exactly. I am looking for some sort of. I'm trying to think of what would be hanging in the mine shaft that I could potentially use.
Maybe some lights.
Yeah, lights, or there's probably like a pulley system too, right? Like so they can, like some sort of like line where they can pull a pulley to like hook up chains and stuff too. Okay. So I'll say that there's like a block and tackle right above him.
Okay, so and it looks heavy enough that it might take him out if it falls on him correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm gonna try and do this non-lethally. I want this, so I'm instead of shooting him, I'm gonna be shooting the block and tackle.
Okay.
Alrighty. And that's a 4.
All right. Yeah, you take a one shot on that, and you take off the, I don't know the terminology at all. You shoot that the block and tackle like straight off the chain, and it just falls and like hits him straight in the head. So he's just gotten hit in the side of the head. Can't quite hear. You hit him on the top of the head. He's starting to he drops his bat at this point, I think, and he's just sort of like holding his head, trying to figure out what's going on. He's not quite like fallen at this point.
Maybe take a knee kind of thing?
Yeah, he's taking a knee. All right. Let's go over to the preacher. What do you want to do?
What year is it? What year does the Old West approximately take place in? I'm wondering if there's
70s, 80s ish.
Okay.
Say. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if somewhere down here there is sort of an old dusty. Those crank sirens. Those
yeah.
I'm wondering if there's there's one of those gathering dust in a corner somewhere that I might spot and start to crank and discombobulate our friend here.
Yeah, there's probably one right by the elevator shaft. That's where you put something like that, right? So you can run over and start to do that. This seems like a where's your I mean, this is pretty easy to do. I think you're kind of looking for speed at this point, so I think I call this like sharpshooter.
Good.
You do have advantage, right? So you take an extra die.
Okay. 4.
4. Okay.
I'm not lying.
All right.
I'm not juicing these numbers. I promise.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, so you start cranking that thing. I think it starts to make like just a tremendous racket. At this point, I mean, the bat's just sort of screaming to himself. I think the rest of you, it's like also pretty loud, but you can cover your ears. He's taken a lot of hits to the head though, the bat over the years, and then especially today. Yeah, so he's more or less fully incapacitated at this point. So, what would you like to do, madam?
I will use my professional acumen to hog tie him and request that the larger amongst the group drag him to the lift.
Okay. Yeah, I think you can do that. He will. He's swearing. He's like, oh, yeah, as you're doing that, but you're able to get him pretty well hogtied. I think as the preacher just keeps on cranking on this thing to sort of keep him subdued as much as possible. Yeah, so you can get him tied up, and then you're going to put him on the lift. Or you're going to send him back up, or just keep him on there.
I'm just going to keep him on there. So
Okay.
his successful escape relies upon ours.
Okay, that sounds great.
And I think for good measure, a real hard kick boot to the head so that he gets knocked out, so that he's not going to wiggle himself
I think
free.
The prospector will like pick up his bat and like hand it to the gunslinger. He's like,
yep.
Yeah, you should use this.
Yes.
And I just reel back and crack it.
Yeah.
Like I'm going for the bleachers on this one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. You've knocked out the bat with the bat.
Wait, wouldn't it be a cricket bat?
It would be a cricket bat around now.
All right. Yeah. So whatever the same thing is for cricket, that's what I'm doing.
You're getting all the wickets.
There we go.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So you've knocked him out. I think from here, right? It's a pretty easy shot down towards the gulch. At this point, right, like the bat is clearly was trying to guard this area of the mine, right? Like, from here, the fuse you can still see as you've been tracking it, right? Like the preacher's probably has that clocked. You can see that fuse is continuing on again with dynamite, sort of like a pretty regular cadence. What would you like to do?
I suppose we'll just continue on following the dynamite. I think this is leading us where we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll just take a glance back just to make sure that they're following, and I'll just lead the way.
Okay. Yeah, so the gunslinger, you begin to walk through the cave system. I think it goes up just a little bit. There's like a slight jog where you can't quite see what's in front of you. And then you come back down, and you can see just straight in front of you. The cave system sort of like ends. And it's almost like this like beach underground down here. Don't think too hard about the geology, but like it's like this like it's like like it almost gets like a sandy, like a dirty sand going down to this river, and you can see on the opposite side of the river you see a figure holding up this giant cross up there. And so, preacher, I think when you come around the corner, you see this cross too, and you recognize this. This is the cross that was stolen from the church all those years ago. It's this ornate thing, right? It's like this large golden cross, probably 2 feet tall or so, like that, and it has all this like turquoise and jewel work and stuff laid into it. This was the prized possession of the church, and it went missing all those years ago. Your dad used to talk about it all the time. You can see that the person holding it has just there's a shovel sort of next to him, a big hole down there, and you can see you can make out. Even from this distance, this is a snake oil kid.
Snake!
Yeah, what would you like to do?
Well, this guy's my guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to shoot him in the back.
Okay.
Not going to say a word. I'm just going to shoot him right in the back.
Just gonna quietly set that white hat down and carry on.
Hey, this is my guy. I let you all handle yours the way you wanted to.
This is the gunslinger's turn.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. I guess okay. So an important thing: where are you trying to shoot him from? Or have you entered into the?
Yeah, I enter into the place. I'm assuming he's standing there holding the cross up, his back turned to me.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna bam.
Okay. Cool. All right, go ahead and roll sharpshooter.
Oh god, not looking good. Oh, thank God. That was a 4.
Okay.
That was
All
2
right.
ones and a 4.
Cool. Yeah. So you get what you want and more. An absolute success. Yeah. So I think two things happen. You shoot him, I think, in the hand that's holding that cross, and so he drops it at the same time, and you hear him like, "Yep," and turn around and say like, "Oh, got company here. I wish you hadn't done that. That was quite rude, but I understand. On account of you just coming here, you didn't quite know what the situation was, but I see that you are here as well, and well, I've just found this vast treasure here, and I'm willing to share it with you."
While he's talking, if I got what I want and more,
Yeah.
it's his knee that goes out next.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think you can take another shot at him, and you get him in the leg. Probably I'm gonna not say the knee because that's somewhat complicates things. But yeah,
Okay.
you get another shot at him. Yeah, and he also twice
I'm
in a
walking
day.
towards him as I'm doing
Okay.
this.
Okay. Yeah, you're walking towards him. Go ahead and give me a sharpshooter roll real quick.
Okay. And as I near him, I just say, "Keep talking."
Mm-hmm.
That's a 4.
Okay, 4. As you start to step into the room, and as you're starting to walk towards him, just before you kick it, you stop and you see that there's a line of wire that's running across this whole area here. You stop and you see him see you, like, notice that, and he goes, "Oof. Well, I wish you'd taken one more step, but that's okay. I still say, I know you've shot me a few times. That's totally fine. I would just ask that maybe you stop for a second and think what maybe I could do for you." All right, let's go to someone else. What else are you doing? What's the rest of the crew doing?
Is
I'm
he
sort of-
across the river from us,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, so
there's like a
you
body
come
of
into
water
this
between us.
come into this area. Yeah, there's probably like 20 or 30 feet. There's a river, and then another 20 feet on the other side, like that. There's a hole on the opposite side of that river that he's clearly dug something up from.
Not something. My family's crossed. The church is crossed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm fixated on right now is getting that back. I feel like in my mind I'm sort of like, if I can get a hold of that, maybe that'll be enough to buy my way back into my parishioners' good graces.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right.
Preacher,
So
is
I guess
there anything about like the church's cross being in the devil's mind and now covered in a human's blood that we should be concerned about?
I'm glad that you asked me because I am obviously the expert. In my expert opinion, no. There is nothing to be worried about. That cross is you polish that up, you'll be good to go.
Well, no, that is a capital relief. I do appreciate you setting my conscience at ease. Now, with that said, snake oil. What is this
yes,
treasure
madam?
you say you got?
Oh, this treasure. Well, this is our ticket, I should say, out of this place. Something like this could fetch a king's ransom. You and me, madam, we could go down to Mexico. We could start the biggest inn you've ever seen. You want to join me?
Well, first I'm going to have to know what it is that you were talking about, darling, because I'm used to liars, swindlers, and thieves, and every kind of horse plot you can imagine coming out of a gentleman's mouth trying to convince me to go into business with him. So I'm going to need to perhaps see the books, as it were. What are you holding?
Oh, the books. And he'll like start to reach down for the cross. Will you let him? Is anyone going to let him get it?
No.
Okay.
I will waste another bullet on his other hand.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. How many bullets? What are you down to for your bullets?
I have 3 bullets left. This will be taking me down to 2.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And that's another 4.
Okay, another 4. Yeah, you shoot his other hand, and he kind of backs off. Yeah, backs off. Whew, whew. You probably like take off like one of his fingers almost.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. Well, man, as you can see, it says this cross, and I assure you, there's much more in this hole down here. I would love to show it to you if you would please stop shooting at me, and you could just come on over, and we could talk like civilized people.
I think we might be onto something with this idea of me coming over there and us talking like civilized people, for you are fast running out of limbs, and we still have plenty a number of bullets in relationship to your functioning body parts. And I guess I'll start approaching.
Okay.
If she doesn't look like she notices the wire, I will stop her and point it out to her.
Yeah. So if you haven't told her about it, she hasn't noticed it. So you'll stop her.
Yeah.
From that, so you can step over that if you want to. You can begin approaching him, and he's like, it's kind of like, oh, that's smarts like that. What are you gonna do? So when you get to the river, right? This is not the sort of thing you can just sort of like. It's pretty fast. There's a small like boat that he's kind of taken across the river, and he has it tied up on the other side. The water is such that it's like the boat is not moored exactly right. It's like sort of like off in the water. If you pulled up the stake, it would just start going down. So what would you like to do?
I try and assess? Like, I don't know if assess. I'm not great at that, but like this tripwire contraption, I've now seen 2 people step over. Can I try and figure out the rigging for this, or?
Yeah, how would the prospector go about figuring that out?
Oh man,
successful.
He might pluck it.
Okay.
Just reach down.
That is
give
foolish.
Give it a little play. A little banjo string.
All right.
Bing.
Roll
Every
foolish.
party needs someone who touches the cursed item. Oh man.
Yep.
That is the gamut 1 to 4.
Okay, all right, that's good. Yeah, so I think you pluck it, and you can see like snake oil is just like his eyes just like glint like none other, and then like nothing quite happens, and you can see sort of like things snap back. I think you pluck it, and you can kind of like follow the waveform to the opposite end, and it's like hooked up to some sort of contraption that's hooked up to the fuse. Like that.
I'll leave that be.
Yeah. All right, preacher, what are you doing? So you've seen the cross that you dearly want back.
Snake oil, I'll tell you, you seem to be in a pretty tough spot, and I know you think that you're in control, but we've all seen your string, and you have been shot, to my count, 3 times.
It's not much, but I mean, preacher. Well, I mean, could you come and offer me some ministration? Like, could you come heal me?
Yeah, you know what? I will tend to your wounds. If you send that boat over and let us come on over, we can have a talk. I can tend to your wounds, and we can sort of figure this out.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds really lovely. So he's going to jump on the boat, and he is going to take out the oar, and then he is going to
trick us.
Yep,
he's going to in one slick movement, he's going to grab the cross, use the cross to whip off that line, and the boat's going to start going. What would you like to do?
I'd like to shoot him.
You know what I want to do.
Yeah, you'd like to shoot. Okay, so you're just going to open fire on him.
No, we're going to find a way to be more clever about this. Anybody else have anything that they want to do first?
Dead or alive?
Yeah,
otherwise, you're back in jail.
Is it going like to cross my path, like in front of me, or is it going the? I can't quite.
Yeah, let's set the stage a little bit. So there's so the river's kind of coming through this. Like the river is sort of the only thing that exits this area, here, and you're probably like, it's probably like in the middle, right? So like you have a handful of seconds before he is off down these rapids.
Okay. If everybody's cool with me doing this, I'm gonna reach. Oh, go ahead. You got something?
Well, it's also not going to end. It will end similarly.
Let's do it together. Let's do it together.
Okay.
You grab the dynamite.
Oh,
and you throw it in the boat, and I shoot it.
Okay.
All right.
And I'll be like, no, wait a minute, don't destroy the cross.
Yeah.
No, the sacrilege. Yeah.
Well, you said there's more treasure in the hole. You'll get your money's worth.
It may be interesting if, while it's soaring through the air, you shoot the fuse.
Okay.
And it lands lit in the boat, so he has a second to assess his treacherous ways.
Let's do this. So I'd like to push you, Preacher, a little bit. Like, you do want this. I would like you to actually go after it then, if that's something that your character wants, right?
Yeah,
like you can see what's happening. Yeah. Okay. All right. And so you're going to,
in that case,
yeah.
I mean, I think, and I don't want to be a troublesome player. But I feel like my instinct is that I would sort of like either like putting the pieces together, seeing what you guys are planning. I would sort of push the gun or push the I would try and interrupt the action and then dive after the boat.
Okay. Yeah. Let's have a quick conversation, I guess. How do you feel about that, John? And like, there's no wrong answer.
I'm 100% behind it. So cool. I would love my shot to go wide. And me look at him incredulously as he dives after this. But I do ask that if this is the case, the dynamite still lands in the boat.
Yes. Okay.
I can make a roll, I guess. Or
let's make a roll. We'll make kind of a series of like quick rolls and see how this happens. But I think everybody sort of has their motivation about what they want to happen here. So let's start with you, Toby. You're gonna go ahead and try to throw this thing in there.
Is this a sharpshooter?
Yeah.
A 4.
Yeah, you toss the dynamite, and I think it lands right in his lap. Like that. As it's flying through the air, though, let's see. So, John, you're going to pull out your gun, and like I think, this is the preacher's going to push it out of the way and try to jump in.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, preacher, go ahead and make a roll for doing this brilliant idea.
Yeah. Is that brute?
Yeah, brute.
Checking the preacher's character sheet to see if he's got
I rolled double four.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think you dive in. And I think the thing that you get, what you want and more, is that you're able to dive in and immediately separate the snake oil kid from the cross. So you have it in your hands now. So I think the scene, we have sort of the preacher standing like up in the boat, holding the cross at Snake Oil, who's bleeding sort of in. And he goes like, "Whew, well grabbed, preacher. I guess it's just you and me riding off into the sunset. Where do you want to go? Want to go down to Mexico?"
How big is this cross?
What was that?
Yeah.
How big is
like
the cross?
I
was envisioning
it's like a couple feet,
very large. But...
Yeah, it's like a couple feet or so, right? Like it's like this is not. It's ornamental, right? Like so, like it's a very expensive, gold prospector like this would have your eyes sort of spinning. All right, preacher, what do you want to do? Well, let's see. I guess let's stop. Let's go over to the madam. What does the madam want to be doing at this point?
I think the madam, through all this commotion, is trying to find a safe way across the river, because we were promised there's a whole lot more gold and treasure in that hole, and everyone is conveniently distracted right now, and I have a business to rebuild.
Okay. Yeah, let's you can let's see. What would you like there to be in this area that would help you across?
So what I'm hoping I can locate is either a second dinghy of some description, or I think perhaps more likely that the boat was originally designed to run on a wire track rather than be like free-form rowboated. And if so, the madam would straight up just hang on to and like hook her legs underneath and underneath the wire and sloth climb and drag herself across the river to try to get across to the other embankment.
That sounds good. Do you want a sloth climb or do you want to like high wire?
Oh, sloth climb,
walk across
100%. This is
Okay,
absolutely a pragmatics question for her.
Okay.
This is not about
All right.
dignity.
Cool. All right. This is going to be a. Let's see. You tell me. I'm leaning towards like this is just a brute sort of thing, but if you want to
Yeah.
try to be clever and you're assessing the situation in some way that we're not understanding.
I mean, honestly, I think the only way in which I could say assessment really plays into this is being able to successfully locate the high wire, and if so, hooking her high-heeled shoes across the wire and looping her feet over that for a low friction experience as she's dragging herself across. Otherwise, I think brute makes sense. I think either works.
Cool. Yeah, I'll give you assess on this because I also want it to happen. So
cool. That's a 4.
All right. Yeah, with a 4, I think you're able to get across. So like this stuff is sort of happening simultaneously. I think as the boys are doing their silly thing with the dynamite and stuff, you're shimming across. You get across really easily, and like I don't even think you usually get any water on you either. It's like quite smooth, even despite it all. You jump off and you run over to that hole, and there is absolutely nothing else in there.
They don't call him snake oil for nothing.
He'll wink at you if you look over it. All right.
As a prospector from this area, like, would I know where this river, or like where it leads to or exits? And I assume that there are like gold claims that people would be panning on the other end of this, or
yeah. So you would know where this exits. It exits basically out to a lot of different places. You would know off like pretty well, like you'd know offhand that if he takes this about a mile or two down, there's another town that actually has a train going through it.
So if he gets out of this, we've basically lost him. Right?
Yeah,
that's the general gist I'm getting.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's go back to the scene. So the madam has made it across. She's looking down at this empty thing, cursing Snake Oil's name. I almost said his good name. Not a good name. his bad name. The preacher is standing there with the cross in his hand with the cowering Snake Oil. The prospector has figured out that this thing, like he knows exactly how to blow up the entire mine if he wants to. The gunslinger is down to 2 bullets, right?
One bullet now.
1 bullet now. What would you like to do? I think at this point you have like, if you all wanted to, you could all run and jump on to this boat, or if you want to do something else, this is your chance to do it.
All right. I want to kill him. But he's in the boat with the preacher. So how can I cleverly do this so that I get the preacher out of the boat at the same time as killing Snake Oil? Anybody got any ideas? I'm thinking
maybe. I think I actually wonder if I think the preacher at this point, it makes sense for you to either make a move unless the people out on the shore have something that they're like, oh, we're gonna do this thing to stop it, or
if the preacher gets out of the boat, I will act and shoot the dynamite, even if it's
I think it's pretty reasonable for me to sort of, because I'm sort of standing. I envision myself sort of standing and struggling to like keep balanced at the front of this boat, but I have what I need. So it's sort of like what I want so desperately is this cross. So I sort of Gollum-esque. I find myself sort of staring at it, and I think I may just like fall out of the boat because my attention is taken away from balance, and I may just sort of tumble into the river.
Okay, yeah. Give me a roll for not drowning. Give me a brute roll for not drowning.
How fast is this water moving?
It's I mean, like you could run to catch up to this boat, but the boat is going to start going a lot faster pretty soon.
I got a 4.
Okay, you
Awesome.
got 4. Yeah, I think you fall out. You manage to like surface pretty quickly, and you can get to either side of the river. As well as
I
walk.
have a thought
Okay.
that involves us exiting an exploding cavern on a boat.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe I will look to the
Prospectors.
madam.
Cool prospectors
And
do
see
not
what
look at
the madam says.
explosions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They start them.
Yes. So I will somehow cue the madam that she might want to pick up the pace and get to the boat. And I'm going to play one more banjo note and run for that boat.
Okay. All right. So you pull that. I think like you pull it and like it pulls, kind of snaps. You hear like this plunger sort of drop, and then you you hear the plunger drop, and then like you see this fuse light on fire, and it starts to like come out of that that box pretty quickly and starts to circle the room, and going up. All right, so let's go back to the gunslinger. What do you want to do as sort of your last action? You've just seen the prospector pull that wire.
I know, and he's running for the boat, and I've got my eyes on snake oil, but I'm gonna close my eyes, shake my head, holster my gun, and run for the frickin' preacher to pull him out of the water and get to the boat.
Okay.
What do I need to do?
Okay. Give me a nerve roll.
All right.
Right, you're resisting your sort of your innate desire here to shoot. And like you've got to kind of pull off a number of actions all at once. Here.
3 1s and a 4.
Okay.
I love those 4s.
So you haul the preacher up. Give me a one-liner for like why is the preacher getting back on that boat?
I don't have
Me?
one. I just grab him out of the water and I just toss him.
I think like there's no like eyebrow. Like maybe
I scowl at him. I let him know I'm not happy, but that's about it.
Point back at the prospector. Okay. All right. So you're all sort of running towards the boat, I guess. But Madam, what are you doing?
Yeah. Similarly, I'm gonna make a mad dash for the boat, dive in.
Okay.
And on the way in, note that snake oil has multiple marks of the stigmata for someone who was holding a cross very recently, and this is a little worrying for me.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't make things more unfortunate and complicated than they needed to be.
Maybe. Yeah.
Always make it more complicated.
I'm having fun. That's all that matters.
Good. No, I think this is great.
I figured the preacher could at least like float down the river and was relatively safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So you all jump on. I think it's Nicholas is like, oh, looks like you did decide to join me. Yeah. Oh, preacher, I'll take that off of your hands. You don't need to
shoot him in the other leg.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and shoot him.
I really want.
You can shoot him with advantage at this point if you'd like to.
I would rather grab the dynamite from the bottom of the boat, shove it in his mouth. No, that's too violent.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just gonna lift him up. I'm just gonna look at him, and I'm just gonna sock him. I'm just gonna sock him right in the face. Right. Just knock him out. I'm done hearing him talk.
Okay, so I think you sock him. I think the madam gets a shot out on him too. We don't even need to roll for that. I think like at this point the snake oil sort of slumps over and says like, oh well, like I think the sort of the last words you hear him say are, oh, well, you're the makings of such a nice little gang. Oh, it's a shame I can't lead you like that. And I think he'll sort of slump over as you exit the gulch down on this river. You hear the first stick of dynamite sort of go off like that, and just like all this rumbling, and you see this like this billowing like dust and smoke sort of like coming out of the mouth that you just that the boat went out of. And I think, like, yeah, just as you said, like, you know, cool people don't look back at explosions. If you did look back, you could see sort of like the whole hill itself sort of rumbling and shaking, and like almost like collapsing in on itself a little bit as the geography of this area sort of changes as all the dynamite in town has blown up in there. Yeah, and you are taking the rapids down with snake oil.
Oh shoot!
Snake oil in tow. You got a wet preacher
We-
holding a cross.
The bat is
the bat.
dead.
Yeah.
I had it out for the bat.
I
had
was
it
just
out
gonna
for the
say,
Yeah.
Gunslinger, you still have the bat's bat, right? We have
Yeah, I
proof
do, I
of
do. We have
victory
proof.
there, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and
Also-
you can ride down on the rapids as long as you want. I think we'll fade out right there. And I think what I'd like to do is pick up 3 months later. It's high noon on a Sunday, and I want you to all tell me, what are you doing?
I am very happily asleep at my desk in the sheriff's office with my hat down over and you know, the half cigar, chewed up cigar still in my mouth, doing that thing where it drips from the bottom lip, you
Yeah.
know, and just snoring away peacefully.
That's great. Madam,
I
what are
think
you up to?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
The madam is busy about her business, telling people what to do, ensuring that everyone follows her explicit directions for her new business in Cancun. She did indeed run away to Mexico to start a new business with her ill-gotten gains, though no one is quite sure whence those ill-gotten gains came from.
Nice. Prospector?
I think in the same scene that you see the new sheriff, you also see the prospector in the drunk tank, but with a deputy badge. Like in the drunk tank and out of the drunk tank, but definitely like has taken to the gunslinger a bit and really followed this path of the deputy.
Nice. That's great. And Preacher, what are you doing?
Yeah, it cuts to the preacher. He's back in his church. The church is full. He's standing up at the altar, and he's proselytizing, and behind him hangs the gold cross, maybe a little scuffed up, but hanging proudly in his family's church where it belongs.
Oh, that's great. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for playing the Snake Oil Gang's final score.
It was
Thanks
fun.
for running it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very fun.
That was
Well,
great.
Yeah. Yeah. Truly thank you all so much for playing.
Though.
Yeah. Right.
I really did.
Yeah. That was quite good. Yeah, so it's getting a little late. I would like to do something real quick. So again, we like to kind of like show different things that you can do with running a game. I think this was super fun. I really loved sort of seeing how the ideas that we talked about in the previous episode sort of came to fruition out of here. I think, yeah, you did all amazing jobs and added so much to the story that I just had no clue like what was going to happen with it, which is great. Yeah, so what I like to do is go around one last time and do something called Stars and Wishes. So this is a technique you can use for like kind of collecting like feedback after a game. So stars are things that you're like, that moment was really cool. And they can either be something that happened to you or something that someone else did. And wishes are like, if I was going to do this again, what's something else that I would have wanted to see? Like, what did I like, but I didn't get quite enough of? Give you a second to think about that.
I can say that a solid gold star for me was going to the stables, and the thing that I, Brandon the player, did not see coming at all was I find a horseshoe and I clock him. It was
Yes.
a very unexpected moment for me because it's an inversion of what I normally associate with happening in that kind of environment, where like a lot of groups of players will begin with a diplomatic option and then escalate to violence. and we kind of did the opposite, which was a really cool inversion of that normal trope. And then in the end, of course, we reverted back to violence because we are, of course, murder hobos anytime we become players. Yeah, I think yeah, absolutely. I think a wish for me is I felt like the sense of setting flavored some of the choices that we made a bit, but I never felt like the setting really was the driver for the actions that we were taking. With a very slightly different description as like dynamite is now a thermal charge. This could have happened in a sci-fi setting too. And I didn't have quite that sense of like I'm immersed in Old West right now. That's also a constraint of a one shot that has to happen in 2 hours. So I don't know how much that's something that can actually change, but that's something that I'd often really relish in my TTRPGs.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's great.
I think a star for me is kind of along the lines of your wish, actually. I like that we eventually kind of came to like the silly, weird Western ideas, right? Like things got weird, and I appreciate that everyone kind of took it that way, and like, you know, throwing dynamite and shooting the fuse and like these things that were like so improbable and so fun. I like those moments a lot. And like, you know, we didn't interact too much. Well, I guess I didn't, but I really liked the Daisy, Dixie. Sorry, that character. I think really turned it to that weird and kind of silly for me, and that was very fun. Wishes. I always struggle with wishes.
Yeah, that's okay. You don't have to have anything either.
Okay, I'll think more, but yeah, I'll pass the mic.
It could have been perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
I think a star for me, and I know this is kind of odd, but the tropes and the stereotypes that we were allowed to play with. So for me, that was really great because it really aided in the visualization of the piece for me. So like when the preacher like clocked Ace the second time, because you know the first time he clocked it and he kind of fell over, and then you know the prospector was doing this weird Buster Keaton routine, like I could see it in my head. And then the second time when he clocks it, it was like a full like George McFly moment for me, like, hey, you get your damn hands off her. And like I just pictured Ace just like literally just spinning around and falling down, and then a bunch of cards thrown up into the air. And it was like that was perfect for me to see like the visualization and all that kind of stuff. The wish I have, and I don't necessarily know how this could have been done any better than it was, but I would have loved to have been able to see more. I wanted the final blow for each of the individual characters to come from the people that were opposed to them, right? So like with the bat, I wanted the prospector to have more there. You know what I mean? Like instead of all of us, it seemed like I would have liked to see it that with each of the individual members, we were acting as support for them to be able to do what they needed to do to face off against that boss. And that's just like I think it worked out great. I think it absolutely worked out great, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, that's cool. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I don't think I have any like wishes. I think my star is sort of broad in that the vast majority of the role playing that I do is not with sort of really streamlined systems like this. And I think I often forget that you can even run a game like that feels thematic and coherent using something that is so simple. So my star is really just like broadly this was really cool, and it was like very cool to see how you can take just a handful of pre-gens and a really simple system and turn it into something compelling that feels thematic, and that was a lot of fun, and it makes me more inclined to run impromptu games than I have been. I think I always overplan, and that makes it harder to schedule stuff. So Seeing this sort of come together like this is I think has been really good. I don't really have any wishes. I think I feel like the Prospector, you didn't get as much time in the sun as I would have liked, and I think we kind of made up for it at the end when you blew up the entire cave. But I think to Toby's point, I wish you had, and this isn't in any way a critique of anyone really. It would have been nice if it had landed that you sort of got centered a little bit more in the story at different points. I also felt like the preacher had sort of a burgeoning friendship with the Prospector that given more time I would have explored.
Yes. That's really good. Well, thank you for reflecting on that a little bit. I think it's fun. I mean, we always try to design these because we've done these build a dungeon, play a dungeons for a couple years now running, and we always like to think about I don't know, like if someone wanted to take this and run with it, what could they do with it? And I think those are all amazing suggestions, for what are you going to do if you take this, if you listen to this actual play and you're like, oh, I want to take this to my group, how would we play it? For sure, take all those ideas. They're fantastic, right? And really run with it. But okay, so we all need to say good night. We've been going for a couple hours here. It's been just an absolute pleasure. Thank you, John. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Ben. I have been Chris Salzman. This has been Roll for Topic. And remember, if your players are having fun, you're a great GM.